For more than 30 years, there's been pressure for children to keep up with technology. But it hasn't really happened. Now experts say if kids don't learn computer skills, it's not just going to affect them, it's going to affect all of us. Around the world, the push is on for educators to teach a second language. Not French, English, or Spanish, but the language of computer programming. It's called coding.
Coding is, in computer terms, it's a set of instructions that it gets to know what to do when certain inputs or outputs happen.
In the last few years, the coding movement has spread in Europe in countries such as Estonia, Finland, and the UK. Among the places it has taken hold in North America is the east coast of Canada.
We have the edge right now to drive this idea of helping our kids understand how to code, how to be creators, how to be innovators.
Some experts suggest teaching coding in schools could help save the East Coast, especially as our traditional jobs get scarce. Before the Code Kids movement began, there were a lot of young people in Atlantic Canada who taught themselves to code. Bright, determined kids like Callum Pickles.
I'm like the go-to guy for cell phones, computers, anything fixing. And even teachers, if they're having problems with the website or something like that, they're always like, Pickles, come on over and fix this.
Pickles is 15. Instead of working at a fast food joint, he makes extra money by fixing his friends' iPhones. For about $80, he'll repair a cracked screen or replace a damaged battery. He's saving up for, what else? A new computer. In other ways, he's a typical East Coast kid. He likes to play hockey, play drums, and he's already talking about moving out west.
There's a lot of people like my friends that are my sister's age that are going out west to work, such as working on trucks or oil fields or something like that.
Pickles lives in an area where the youth unemployment rate has reached a crisis level.
Sydney, Cape Breton is a tremendous place to live and to work and to raise a family. Now, the problem is that we're seeing our young people leave, which is, I know there's a lot of focus right now on this being a retirement community, but if we could keep our young people here, it would be incredible.
While a lot of Cape Breton teens have a hard time even finding menial jobs, Sydney's Code Kid is attracting the attention of the high-tech community. Most recently for an app he's designing to help prevent cyberbullying.
My mom decided you should help the community out, make a program that could help out the community. So I started thinking about it, different programs and stuff. And then one day I seen a bunch of my friends getting bullied, and there was hateful pages created about them and stuff that they didn't like at all. So they asked me if I could do something about it, and then I said, yeah, I'll get on it. And I started to jot down ideas how I could help, and then I thought of a computer program that could run just in the background of your computer without you even knowing, and then it will scan your Facebook for threats. So if you get called those words or something, the computer program will pick it up, and then it will report that you do have a threat. And when you click on the threat, it will show you the status that the person has made about you. So if it is a threat that you don't like, you can just click yes, it's a threat, and it will report it off to Facebook, and it will delete it off your wall.
While Pickles works out the kinks on his anti-bullying app, word is getting around school. He's becoming a bit of a hero.
I think it's really cool that he's starting off so early. Most people wait till they have a degree to even attempt at something like this, but by the time he has a degree, he could be making millions if he wanted to.
Hopefully I will be done university at Dell as a Bachelor of Computer Science and a major in business, and hopefully from there I will be located in Toronto with the company that I kind of want to start to grow and create the most advanced computer programs that no one else has ever thought of.
Talented kids leaving for Central or Western Canada. It's a story that's playing out in families all over the region. And it's adding to the pressure to teach more computer technology.
I think we need to look at putting more resourcing, funding into Atlantic Canada to keep our young people here.
Traditional family life is one of the things that defines Atlantic Canadian culture, but it's being threatened by the dismal job market.
I have a son right now that was working out in Fort Mac, and he had to leave his kids and go out for work because there's nothing here.
Looking for a job for 6 months now.
I find it's a little bit more difficult to find any work here.
You apply for work around here at 57 years old, nobody wants you.
If you look at the call center industry back in the 90s, that created 25,000 new jobs. Though now that industry is shedding jobs. It's losing a couple of thousand jobs every year. So where are those new jobs going to come from?
Moncton has an unemployment rate that's below the national average. It used to be the call center capital of the Maritimes. Now it has a growing high-tech sector. Coding advocates point to successful startups like Foursum Golf as proof that tech jobs help build a strong economy. The company creates apps for golfers who want to improve their game. Proponents of coding say the East Coast has the talent to keep these startups growing. Michael Go is a star example. The Go family came to Canada from South Korea when Michael was in grade 7. He was quite the prankster.
I found a circuit online that how to make a little tiny taser out of 9-volt battery, and it's like not taser, not strong taser, but it was like little uncomfortable feeling on your skin taser. So I figured out how to make that, and I said, I'm not gonna test it on myself, so I'm gonna test it on my sister. So that's like, yeah, the little prank toy. I think that's my first prank toy.
Check out this machine gun made out of Jenga pieces. It's controlled by a few lines of code.
So you're going to fire your slingshot. Fire.
Oh.
Fire.
Oh my God.
Go also designed an app that allows him to raise mini blinds with a smartphone. At school, he was clever enough to hack into his classmates' computers, but that didn't go over very well.
I learned how to shut down the computer, and they had unsafe work, and and that's how I met my principal. I didn't know she existed.
Once Go learned the error of his ways, he turned to competing. He placed first 3 years in a row in the computer programming competition at the University of New Brunswick and was named a rising star by New Brunswick's high-tech community in 2010. By the time he was in grade 10, he was working for the startup that sponsored the competition. That's when he realized there was money to be made right here at home.
Working here is living my dream, because this is what I dreamed of. Well, I skipped university, but I joined a kick-ass cool tech startup company.
At 19, Michael Go is now the youngest employee at Foursum Golf. He makes a good salary with only a high school education. Go has no plans to move either. He wants to give back to his adopted country. He already tutors students who want to code.
If you guys don't code right now, I really highly recommend you guys to just look into programming and see the world bigger, see the bigger world.
Go's ultimate ambition is to open his own computer programming school on the East Coast.
New Brunswick gave me the recognition award, Rising Star, and that's how I met Lembics, and that's how my job career started, and that's how my programming career changed. It went to the different level.
Coding advocates believe teaching kids to code will keep more of them here. Their goal, to give every child the same tools to manage well in a digital world. In New Brunswick, there's one man who's devoted himself to this cause. After accepting an award for Most Promising Startup, David Alston offers up a challenge to Premier David Alward to introduce computer programming as part of the province's math curriculum. Then, he makes a pledge himself.
Is there a chance that we can look at bringing computer programming as mandatory part of the curriculum for math, as a way for exposing students, all students, to programming? If you want a person to volunteer to work on that, I'd love to do that, because I think it's really important. So, on behalf of the ITFE, thank you very much.
David Alston is one of the original Code Kids. He grew up on a family farm outside Sussex and was bitten by the computer bug in grade 8.
This puppy right here. I actually grew 5,000 onions that summer. I made like $180 or something like that. It wasn't a lot, it was a lot of work, but it was enough for me to save up to buy my first computer, which was a Commodore VIC-20.
Alston put himself through university working as a computer programmer and went on to a successful career in technology. He worked for 4 tech startups over 20 years, including Radian 6. In 2011, it made news when it sold to Salesforce in the US in a multi-million-dollar deal. While he's working on his latest startups, Alston begins his mission. His first challenge is to convince teachers.
I'm hoping the kickoff of a journey that we're going to go on, and I'm hoping the journey is going to be a short journey. How can we get coding brought back into the classroom?
The next step in his pilgrimage takes him much further away, to the small country of Estonia. Estonia used technology to bring itself from poverty to prosperity. Alston hopes it holds the key to a turnaround on the east coast of Canada.
Yes, we are advanced in many ways, but we're far from advanced where we could be. And it's taken a country like Estonia, with the same size as the Maritimes, basically, 20 years to advance to where they are today, and they're going light years ahead of us as well. And we can catch up.
David Alston has traveled 5,000 kilometers to search for help for Atlantic Canada's failing job market. Now he has someone by his side. Renee Bedreau, the head of innovation for the New Brunswick government. They are determined to find out how the small country uses technology to drive its economy, and how it prepares children from the time they are in elementary school for the job market of the future.
They actually literally were blazing the trails in terms of bringing coding into the school system. We could learn about what they've learned about on how to do it over the last 3 or 4 years. And we could also see kind of the benefits of what it looked like when kids were actually coding or using robotics or whatever it would be.
But time is tight. Alston and Boudreau are here to learn as much as they can, as fast as they can. Back home, the economy continues to hemorrhage its young talent, leaving behind an aging population with shrinking resources. In 1991, Estonia was in bad shape too. It was one of the poorest countries in Northern Europe. Half the people living here didn't even have phone service. Then, the country gained independence from the Soviet Union. 20 years later, it's a world leader in technology. Alston and Boudreau will meet with teachers, business leaders, and politicians to find out how such a small country managed such a big turnaround.
The size of Estonia is roughly the same size physically or geographically, as well as population-wise, of the Maritimes. And the amount of stuff that they've done here in terms of advances in ICT infrastructure in all forms of society is unbelievable.
Estonia jump-started their economy in 1992 by bringing all government services online. In the year 2000, it declared internet access a human right.
We have very beautiful forests, that's it. So in order to get higher salaries, better living standard, and to keep this nature that we have, then you have to be fluent in ITC.
Estonia is in the forefront of e-government.
All the voting is done electronically? Am I
Yeah,
right?
and all the signatures are done electronically, all the documents move electronically, and all the law amendments are done electronically. Parliament members are the only one in Estonia who have to be really physically present to push this electronic button.
She said it's about growth. You know, when they came out of the Russian occupation, independence, maintaining that independence and maintaining the pride of place, maintaining the language, the culture, everything tied back to the economy. And they absolutely needed to find their niche and a way to grow themselves and maintain that independence. And that was technology.
Everyone here has a highly secure card that connects them to government services. With one ID number, they can check their health records, even vote. In less than 5 minutes, they can set up a corporation online. It's all very impressive. But at the Technology Demo Center, the delegation discovers Estonia has a hidden advantage over Atlantic Canada: a large number of trained professionals.
We were kind of lucky to have the Institute of Cybernetics established by Soviet Union in Tallinn, 1960s. And after the collapse, all these engineers, they stayed here.
So you had the base down?
Yeah, we had talent pool to build this thing.
But the biggest eye-opener is about to come. Since 2012, thousands of Estonian children have been taught to code in elementary school. They often learn with robots.
In the first lesson, they usually just take the robots, they put the pieces on because there's a lot of things. They use the book to get the sequence here and how to put it together, to type in, and then the robot starts to move. Usually the simplest program is if something is in their way, they turn, or if they clap or jump and the robot starts turning around. They know what is the future life will be. They know what kind of jobs they maybe want. Not everybody likes robotics and these kind of things, but some students are saying that this is the thing I want to do all my life.
What did the children really like about the robotics?
Ta tahab teada, et mis talle selle roboti asja juures kõige rohkem meeldib. Nii, ja mis sulle meeldib? He's saying that he likes to build and she said she likes to program. Saad ise liikuma programmi teha, eks ole. Kas kellegi veel midagi meeldib? Okay, they know how to put the things together. They are not handicapped in that matter. They are not afraid of technology. And also they use a lot of their brain.
This was just amazing. The fact that these kids could be programming at that age. I mean, that was a second grade.
They've got, if you want to call it a trade, a modern trade that they can apply to the economy that's really in a focus here in Estonia around how do we build Estonia into this, powerhouse of a technology leader.
On the next stop, the delegation will learn about a vital key to the success of Estonia's education initiative. It's the IT Foundation. Teachers can apply to the foundation to take courses or to get technology for their classrooms.
Yes, you can see we can peek.
One of the big questions that we often get when we engage with teachers is time, right? Yes. They say, we already have a hard time giving students all they need.
Yeah.
When can we fit technology?
First steps is very difficult. It takes a lot of time, but after 1 year, you see these benefits.
Statistics show the Estonia system is working. Roughly 20% of these students now go on to work in the tech sector. That's almost 7 times more than in Canada.
And I love the fact that she said it a few times. She said, we've been telling people it's not going to be easy, right?
Yeah,
that first year,
it's
no lie. There's an effort needed to kind of kick this off, and it's not easy at first. It gets easy.
Yeah. And the teachers, it's part of their it's like a skill set. They move up on this, and then their pay goes up a bit on it too. So there's incentives put in place, and then the overall objectives are still there too.
Next, they get a glimpse at the ultimate example of technological success in Estonia: Skype. In 2005, Skype sold to eBay for $2.6 billion.
There was a small gang of guys thought that they will do the cool thing. They built it in, let's say, half a year or a little bit more time. And then they launched it publicly in August 2003. Obviously, as most of the startups, there was no clue what will happen. But what happened was that after 2 months' time, the Skype software was downloaded 100,000 times. Big success, great story, how it really grew from less than 10 people company to nowadays Skype software is developed more than 1,000 people.
If you have the next $1 billion company, then you're going to have your magnet for talent for the region. And it's going to pull in not just employees for that company, but pull in employees for everybody in the ecosystem.
Skype had a dramatic ripple effect. It created wealth which was invested in other startups. and in the education system. Next, the delegation heads north to Helsinki, Finland, a country which has its own brand of success. This is the home of Nokia, once the world's biggest producer of cell phones. The Finns are also among the world's top mobile game creators, games such as Angry Birds. It turns out the Finns have built on the Estonian school model. They don't teach coding per se. Coding is integral to everything they teach.
They've been playing kind of like a game that they are space invaders, and they've been doing a lot of stuff with these tablets, and this involves that he's going to put that hat on and he's going to be their kind of like supervisor.
This particular morning, grade 2 students hurry into the schoolyard. But it isn't recess. They're about to learn math by playing a game on their iPads. Teachers here are allowed to incorporate technology any way they want.
The principals support this. Teachers have their own ways, and they are not always coming and looking how you're doing.
One problem is that students often quickly surpass the teachers. The solution is letting the students take the lead by teaching one another. It's an approach with potential in Canada, where many teachers only have high school science.
This is an activity, right, that allows them to all work together to solve problems, because there is a lot of problem solving.
The delegation was surprised when the entire school took part in a musical performance. It was the highlight of the trip. The integration of technology and the arts into every part of the curriculum is part of Finland's success story. Could it be part of Atlantic Canada's? Despite its successes, it turns out Northern Europe still has its challenges. Girls are way behind in the tech sector. It's a problem in Atlantic Canada too. As Alston and Boudreaux head home, they realize they have to do something about the gender gap. Otherwise, almost half the talent that could help save the East Coast will be lost. In November of 2013, the Atlantic duo of David Alston and Renee Boudreaux returned from their European mission. After touring Estonia and Finland, 2 countries in the forefront of the coding movement, they're even more convinced the East Coast could reverse its economic decline if every student were taught the language of computer programming at an early age. One thing getting in the way seems to be a stubborn stereotype. 80% of the technology workforce is male.
It pisses me off that women think this isn't a viable industry. It pisses me off that people in the computer industry are portrayed as nerds. It pisses me off that we tried for months to hire a woman. There are no reasons why women cannot be as good or better. When I graduated, women were 3 of the top 5.
The gender gap persists overseas and across Canada, including in our oldest port city. At the St. John campus of the University of New Brunswick, one of the toughest degrees is in computer science. In the 3rd year of the program, there is only 1 female student. Jessie Blanchard has always been a nonconformist. She loves video games as much as her guy friends, if not more.
My parents got a computer, I think I was in grade 1 or grade 2, and I bought our first computer, and it was just really fascinating. Like, I play like little Arthur games on it and stuff. It was really fun. I think we had a Thomas the Tank Engine game.
Like a lot of code kids, what started as fun and games soon turned into some impressive achievements.
I learned the language HTML when I was in grade 7 or 8 I wanted to like design websites and stuff, and I taught myself how to like create websites and all the design parts of it. And I had an entire website made for my parents' company back when I was in grade 9.
In high school, Blanchard was the only female in her computer science class.
It was a little intimidating at first because I had never been in a class that was all boys, but it was really fun.
In Canada, only 17% of undergraduate students in computer science and engineering are women. Many of them don't go into the field. Others drop out before they graduate. Blanchard's former classmate, Marissa Gregg, is a good example. Both of her parents are computer programmers. She wanted to be one too.
They introduced me to it at a very young age. I learned HTML very quickly. They basically gave me what I needed to do, and I created my own website with it. Then I went into some computer science courses in high school and got 98, 99%, and I was doing really, really well in it.
The fun ended when Gregg reached university. By the middle of her second year, she gave up on her computer studies and switched to arts courses. She's planning to become a teacher.
If there was a more creative aspect to computer science, I think women would be more apt to try it. And starting at the middle school level, showing them that you can create things. Because that's how my parents actually introduced computer science. They said that you can create your own website, you can create all the things you see online, you can create all the things you see on a smartphone.
Ladies Learning Code is a not-for-profit organization based in Toronto. It teaches women and men how to code in a more social and collaborative way.
Boys are already connected into technology, and I think maybe that's why it's easy for them to kind of merge into this. And I don't think it's that girls don't want to, it's just we're already socialized to sort of maybe do different things. We socialize into doing more social play.
I can see how I can build my own website, I can build a game, I can build an app, I can create, fun little things to share with my family. Whatever your goal is, you can accomplish it. It's really not that hard.
A recent Google stat shows exactly what many people picture when they think of a coder. David Alston is determined to get rid of the stereotype. He believes every girl and boy should learn to code. In the fall of 2013, he initiates a pioneering pilot program.
We asked a bunch of teachers if they wanted to come forward and do it this year, find a way to kind of work it into their curriculum. And one such teacher was Leroy Vincent at the River Valley Middle School. He decided to bring this in, took the approach of a student mentor model where he got a bunch of students, got them using a programming language called Scratch about, let's say, half a week before the other kids, and then used those kids to help mentor the other kids as he started to roll it into each class.
Just 2 weeks into the pilot program, both boys and girls are making progress. Maybe it helps that Jessie Blanchard is there as a mentor. The pilot also shows Finland's influence. Art and technology are integrated. Even the drawing students seem confident.
Even though you might say, well, my drawings might not be ever good enough to become a video game designer, but there's always time to improve, and you always just have to believe in yourself and what you want to do.
In little more than a month, the students are designing their own video games.
The only thing that's really moving is actually the bottom. It's scrolling this way.
The River Valley Middle School pilot takes place over 4 to 5 weeks, and we follow the students every week. We watch them when they first come in, and they're a little bit, wondering what this is all going to be about. And we see that, the student mentor model really helps a lot in terms of the early stages. Even though Leroy has a technology background, he still embraced the student mentor model because, he knows that he's not going to be ahead of the kids in terms of understanding. Some kids are going to really take off with it, and they're going to be kind of like blazing the trail for the other kids. And it's true, that's exactly what happened.
When kids get to high school, it's too late. And I think in middle school and elementary school, we should be throwing everything at them.
Meanwhile, in Halifax, there's a school that's getting to kids even before middle school. At Armbray Academy, coding is part of the curriculum at the elementary school level. But it's a private school. Children in the public system rarely get the same opportunity.
These kids at Armbray are incredibly fortunate, and you can see them really understand the potential that comes from building with computers, not just using them.
But adding coding to the public school curriculum is a hard sell on the East Coast. especially when many students are struggling with basics such as reading and math.
If we're going to move into code and helping our kids understand code and learn how to code, we have to make sure we don't sacrifice our focus on literacy and mathematics.
The state of the school system is just one challenge facing advocates like David Alston. Our political system is another. How do politicians commit to long-term change when their focus is so often on the next election?
And it's going to take some really strong will to go against the grain of this 4-year cycle. It's going to be, we need to invest in the future. We need to see beyond 4 years. We need to see that this is part of a bigger piece, a bigger solution for the Maritimes.
By 2016, it's expected 95% of jobs will require digital skills. Alston needs support from government and from business. And he needs it fast, if Atlantic Canada doesn't want to lose its advantage. It's been 8 months since David Alston devoted himself to the coding movement in Atlantic Canada. If he hopes to make a difference, he has to get the word out. Early in 2014, he takes the stage at a technology conference in St. John.
That idea that I could be creative was what really got me excited.
The message goes over well with these technology-loving teens. But these are the kids who are leaving. The problem is convincing the people left behind.
So one of the challenges with being a place that is suffered from chronic outmigration is a lot of the people that were open to change and open to changing attitudes have left.
By 2016 in Canada, there's going to be 106,000 jobs unfilled in the tech career in Canada. 106,000 jobs. Nobody to fill it.
The shortage of computer programmers is being felt in Halifax. One company that needs new talent is the highly successful startup, Golnstant. Golnstant was created by 4 young East Coast code kids. The idea came from Cape Breton's Gavin Uma.
We decided to start, working on this together for 20 hours a week, which became 40 hours a week, which became 60 hours a week. We're like working in my living room, we're working in Dave's basement, we're working in Kirk's basement, and it was just a huge grind. We were developing something really cool, and we were showing it to people, and they really liked it.
Golnstant provided a way for people to collaborate online in real time. Less than a year after it launched, it sold to the tech giant Salesforce, reportedly for more than $70 million US. Since then, the Halifax office has doubled its staff.
Success stories are so interesting because they've created value from nothing, and that's value that is now in our economy. It's in our region.
It may not take a lot of natural resources to create a startup, but it does take trained people to keep it going. It turns out there are gaps in education, even at the post-secondary level.
The skills that we learned through that program that we were able to, go off and start this company in Cape Breton, it is not being offered to, the people in Cape Breton anymore, especially kids coming out of high school and things like that.
Kids like Callum Pickles.
But if Callum wants to stay home, there's no option to him right now. And I think there should definitely be an option for him to stay home. And so, that's what we're trying to provide to Cape Bretoners.
Uma is setting up a new technology program through Cape Breton University. It will have an open source curriculum and will draw on mentors from all over the world.
We'll actually bring in the venture capitalists. We'll bring in folks who have successfully bought in and sold companies in Silicon Valley, for instance, or Halifax, Nova Scotia, or Fredericton, New Brunswick. And they'll actually become part of the overall environment, an ecosystem, as they're doing the course. So hopefully they'll end up with the skills necessary to launch a company 11 months out. Or they could just go work for Facebook or Google.
Meanwhile, Uma's partner during his rise to success is doing his bit, especially for those with a minimum of coding experience. Jevon MacDonald is a former teen hacker who developed his first company while he was still in high school. MacDonald was born and raised in Charlottetown.
My family didn't have ton of money, not enough to buy any sort of decent computer. So, but whenever 486s were all the rage and Pentiums were kind of the new thing coming out of the market, I got a 286. And you used to have to lift it up, hold in the power button, and drop it on the floor to turn it on. I'm not kidding you.
After the sale of Golnstant, MacDonald and Uma set up an incubator in Halifax, much like others that have been successful around the globe. It's called Volta.
The name actually comes from Alexander Graham Bell, who, while he lived in Cape Breton, started something called the Volta Laboratory and Bureau. Gavin and I were building GoInstant, and we kind of did it in a vacuum here, right? There was no, we weren't connected to the tech community really, and we felt like when we kind of had our exit, it was an opportunity to give back, and we talked about a lot of different ways to do that. And one is we invest in technology companies in the region whenever we see great opportunities, but the other we thought is how do we make the opportunity we had available to more people.
We wanted a place where you can show up with a laptop and an idea, and everything else is provided for you by the community. Idea is really to try to accelerate that, all those steps between having an idea in a team and being able to commercialize that idea. I came here actually with $1,500 and 2 suitcases. I knew how to write code, and I was able to find a job within a week when I landed here. And if I did anything else, I wouldn't be able to do that. And that's why you will see Estonia, Bulgaria, Serbia, you will see that majority of people over there are they're graduating from technical degrees. They're engineers, they're scientists, because they see that as the easiest way to get out of there into the better life. We actually, for example, we had a game jam here a few weeks ago. Idea is that teams form and they try to make a video game over 48 hours. We actually had a parent walk inside and he was very skeptical about letting their kid do this until they found out that average salary for a game developer here is about $68,000, comparing to $48,000 that's provincial average.
Bigger salaries may be appealing, but fewer than half of startups succeed. It's not the most attractive prospect in a culture that values stable professions. But the champions of code argue Atlantic culture needs to change. The digital economy is here.
It's the remnants of that labor economy in our region is now, in many cases, in my hometown, it's a lot of pollution, right? It's the tar ponds. That is what we have left, right? The people that worked so hard to create that steel and to mine that coal are out of work now, and their children are out of work now, and they're leaving to go find work elsewhere. And I think it would make sense to me, if the labor economy has turned its back on us, for us to start looking at an economy that could work for us.
While the next generation of high-tech entrepreneurs is moving forward, David Alston's year-long mission is almost over. Early in 2014, there is a breakthrough. The Premier rises to the challenge Alston made the previous year. He does it at the annual State of the Province address in Fredericton.
During the Cura IT Sector Awards last May, right here in this very room, David Alston gave us all a challenge that every child in this province should learn to code.
Premier David Alward commits to the creation of an education initiative called Brilliant Labs. Schools, teachers, and students can apply for grants for innovative projects.
The idea of the vision of creating the Brilliant Labs initiative was good. It was great to see something starting to take hold. It meant that the movement was starting to have an effect on the political machine, on the government machine, in terms of how we can help solve this.
Is it possible the coding movement could take hold here as it has in Europe? Estonia's new independence was a huge motivator there. The wealth created by Skype helped spur the growth of other tech companies. Even then, it took Estonia 10 years to turn their economy around.
We've got a lot of work to do. This is like step 1 of 100 that's required to help transform the economy. It's such a big, important piece in terms of education being the foundation of the next generation and of how we think culturally and how we treat innovation and creativity and raise it to the top.
Mark Zuckerberg just bought a company for $16 billion because he could. He's a computer programmer. This is who is creating the software that's running Wall Street. It's who's redefining how healthcare is managed. Software developers are fundamentally changing the world we're interacting with.
When we did our numbers recently, we found out that if our region, if Atlantic Canada, just came to perform in the ICT sector on the same level as the rest of Canada, we would actually have about $2 billion in our budget extra every year. Now, if that's not easy pickings, I don't know what is.
Easy pickings, maybe. But does that mean the next generation of kids is destined to spend their working lives in front of a computer?
Sitting in front of a computer and coding is not for everyone. Never will be. But it's very useful to understand that, much like it's very useful for a kid to understand or know how to drive. It's not that everyone's going to be a race car driver, but we all use driving as a way to get around, and it gives us a set of independence and allows us to solve problems.
Even advocates of coding admit teaching kids how to program computers isn't an economic cure-all, but it is one remedy within reach. What's most clear is that if the East Coast doesn't reach for something, there's more than jobs at stake. The region may have to say goodbye to a cherished way of life.
If we're not able to think about how to use technology in today's world, then we are disadvantaging ourselves.
Yeah, it's a pretty bleak situation. The reality is we have, a lot of our traditional sectors, again, are struggling. So we really need to come up with new sectors. If we don't, we really risk becoming an area that requires much more transfer payments and really continues to see out-migration of our young people.
We need to invest in this because this is today and this is tomorrow. This is what the world is going to be based on, technology. Ignoring that is just delaying the inevitable.